Hi, I'm Renee Prince, and I'm a clinical practicing herbalist here in Florida, and this is...
I'm Bob Linde. I'm an acupuncture physician and registered herbalist, and we're the owners of the Tradition School of Herbal Studies. I primarily teach the Chinese herbal program.
And I primarily teach the Western herbal program, but we both love to do plant walks and come out here and talk to you all.
So today we're going to go ahead and explore the Hillsborough River State Park. It's a beautiful place with lots of different biomes, and we're going to introduce you to a few of the really common and generally considered safe edible and medicinal plants that are growing here throughout Central Florida and are very particular here along the beautiful Hillsborough River and all of the surrounding areas. So if you'd like to learn some more, watch the video. Please follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We try to do a pretty good job of keeping people informed about all the great classes coming up. But even more importantly, I hope you can join us for either the 101 in Western Herbal Medicine, that's the start for the entire Western program, or if you really want to get deep into the clinical diagnostics, join me for the traditional Chinese medicine study of the herbs and the diagnostics. But either path or both that you take, enjoy us in some of the free lectures that we offer here in St. Petersburg, Florida. Come on, let's go see what we've got growing here in the Hillsborough River State Park. So we're walking along and we saw this beautiful stand of this vine, this creeping ground cover growing here over this log and along the trail. We had to stop and talk about it because normally we just find this out in an open field. The leaves are smaller, and this was just a wonderful trailside snack. And we use this, we call it Jamaican chickweed or tropical chickweed. Tell us a little bit about it, Renee.
In our Western herbalism, one of the most important things we can do is protect our lymphatic system. And for everybody up north, they have beautiful chickweed that we all know as chickweed called Stellaria media. But here in the south, we rely on our tropical plants. And this particular plant is called tropical chickweed. Drymeria cordata is its Latin name, and is used exactly the same way that we're going to use all parts of it, mainly the aerial parts, as a lymphatic tonic. We speculate that the drier stem is better for us because we're at 100% humidity here in Florida all of the time. And the very special thing about this plant is its food. You can definitely use it as food. We make amazing pestos and soups.
It's one of my favorite uses of it. I'm always asking for pesto. With every herb class, there's always some fresh pesto with some of the Jamaican or tropical chickweed in it.
You can also use it as a necklace if you need to, right here. But super good for our lymphatic system, really easy to self-start. We can see roots growing on the end of it, and definitely something that's accessible to everybody in Florida.
And with this plant, as with so many others, because of where it grows, along the ground, both sunny and shady places, make sure you're harvesting from a safe place. This is a state park, so we feel very comfortable that there's not a lot of pollution, pesticides, anything like that being used. And so make sure you've got true identification of your plant and make sure that you're finding it in a safe harvesting place. Ultimately, go out, learn your plants, enjoy your food and medicine.
This is Biden's alba, or Spanish needle. Bob's munching on it. Clearly it's edible, hopefully. I grew up with this plant and I learned it for many different reasons, but one of the strongest reasons we have this plant around is as an herbal antiviral and antibiotic. We can read some of that research about the plant in books written by Stephen Buhner, and they're really easy to get and you should look it up. But when I was a small child, I learned this for the very first time as something that we could put on a bug bite or anything that itched. Bob, what do you use it for?
Honestly, I first learned this one as a wonderful trailside nibble. I think of it, use it like spinach, but none of the oxalates like spinach, so we don't have that risk of kidney stones. So literally raw or in a salad, or you can throw it into a stir fry. But I've actually had a progression with this plant, and I first learned it kind of like Renee, and we can rub it on a bug bite, immediately takes a sting away or a bite. We once had a group of pharmacists out that we were doing an herb walk, and they were city meat, so mosquitoes, they would raise big welts on them. We mashed it up and we did what was just a spit poultice. We had her put it on the arm, and as we continue to talk about the plant, After just a few minutes, we had her pull away that poultice, and everywhere the plant had touched, all of the inflammation and swelling had gone away. But I also learned this, that we use this in Chinese medicine. One of its names, the Chinese medicine names, is Xian Feng Sao. And it's used in southern China to cool off. So we use it as a tea. So we just take a few leaves, put it in, make hot tea, drink it throughout the summer. But even more so, I've kind of, I always say, be afraid of being a friend with an herbalist, because we like to experiment and see how plants work. So I was doing a teach-in once, and I was in the 2nd grade class, and this kid had this horrible, horrible cough that had been going on and on. And he was the one kid who ate this plant. Within 15 minutes, I found that his coughing would resolve. I ended up getting this beautiful letter written in 2nd grader telling me, thank you for curing my cough. I'd had it for so many weeks. So what I found is this plant is specific for a lingering cough after a cold and flu, where you have clear or white phlegm. A teaspoon to a tablespoon, chewed up fresh, and it'll be gone in 15 minutes. So for this one, I've used it on children as young as 2 years old, and it works for every type of cough, but I really like it for that lingering cough. And we've all experienced that. We get sick, we get better, but there's this nagging thing that continues. There's also some great research out there using it for leukemia, HIV, even malaria. So this is a heavy hitter, and yet it's a wonderful trailside nibble and something to add into your salads or into a stir fry is a healthy addition to any meal. Biden's alba, Spanish needles, very easy to identify. We always got this daisy-like white flower, 2-pronged stickers that's always getting caught in our pants leg every time we're walking around the woods or in the trails here in Florida.
Bye. This plant that's next to us, and I'm going to go ahead and pick one, even though in state parks you're not supposed to be picking anything. Always remember that rule. This is Gota Kola. Gota Kola is a wonderful plant that you can use almost every single day to help with any kind of nervous system problems that you have. It can help with something as simple as brain fog and stress, all the way up to something that's really critical, like some kind of nervous system damage, a spinal cord injury, even something like Parkinson's or myelin sheath repair, which is the covering around your nerve ending. The key is that it's in every single medica, and it's really very special to us. Bob, what do you use it for?
This is one that's not really in the Chinese system, but more used in Ayurvedic medicine. One of the interesting things, if we were to look this up on the internet and look at dosing, we might see that you can use up to 9, 10, 20 grams even. The reality is, one of the great ways to use this is as soup, that we can take literally 100 grams of this, put this into soup and make this a daily tonic for people. It's a cerebral tonic. So when we see any kind of mental decline, Alzheimer's, dementia, things like that, this becomes a wonderful addition to a complete plan. But ultimately, I like this when we're just starting to get a little hazy memory. And when we look at the energetics of this, we think of this as a little bit dry. So for somebody who tends to be a little phlegmy and that chronic sinus congestion is really interfering with their ability to think, this starts to be a wonderful addition to an overall health plan for them. And there's a lot of debate as to which species grows here in Florida. And so it's a centella for sure. I actually think that this is the Centella asiatica, and that is the herb of commerce. But we've also got the erecta here. And honestly, I don't know about you, but I found it works exactly the same as the asiatica and tastes just about the same as well.
I do. I agree with what Bob's saying. One more thing. If there's any wild crafters out there that are watching this, something that's very important to look for is this serrated edge. We'll probably try to get a close-up on that later. But there's something you can mistake it with called dollarweed, which is medicine as well. But we want that serrated edge there that looks like a knife, and the stem coming from the middle at the bottom.
So it's a great one. Add into your foods, into your pesto, and ultimately this is powerful long-term medicine to make you smarter. So this small tree here, really common in Florida, throughout the eastern seaboard ultimately. It's also a Chinese herb, as well as used in traditional medicine, the Cherokee and many of the other indigenous people along the eastern seaboard. This sweet gum in Chinese medicine is known as lulu tong. We actually use the spiky fruit balls from this and use it specifically for painful menses. But we can use the inner bark, even the leaves, topically internally for any kind of Chinese medicine, what we call blood stagnation. We can translate that into the idea of traumatology. So serious injuries, swellings, contusions, any kind of an acute issue, we can go ahead and take this internally as a decoction from the inner bark, even from the smaller twigs and stems, or we can mash up these almost maple-like leaves. They're slightly different. It's more symmetrical. So start looking around, look for those sharp, brown, spiky fruit balls on the ground, and you'll be close to a sweet gum tree. And then once you see these leaves, you'll always be sure exactly what it looks like. So this is skunk vine. We find this growing all over Central Florida, and it's starting to expand north and south. It's not native, so probably one of the best ways we can start to control it is eat more of it. Not only can we eat it, it's also great medicine. It's called skunk vine, because ultimately, when you rub it, you start to release some of those volatile oils in there. It's very high in sulfur. So think of all your broccolis and things like that, but times 10. So kind of smells like a fart. Maybe it should be called fart vine. It's used in Ayurvedic cooking. I haven't found any references in Chinese medicine, but the reality, most of us need more sulfur in our diet. So many of our plants, because they're not fresh, really start to lose those sulfur compounds. We find the sulfur compounds are great for the immune system. They're great anti-inflammatories. They help to reduce our histamine response to so many things. Think about all the MSM and things like that that are out there that are being sold as tablets, when all we need is some more skunk vine. One of the more interesting things that I've used this personally for is low back pain. We find that probably working on an anti-inflammatory kind of action, I found that within minutes, it really reduced some of my back pain, leg pain from hiking and lifting a lot of logs, working out in the yard. So this is one that, although most people are tearing this off of their fence and trying to eradicate it from their yard, I'm trying to plant it in St. Petersburg so that I can have more access to this and throw it into every dish. I find that raw, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but cooked lightly in a stir fry or used as a tea, most people will actually enjoy it, especially when it's mixed with other greens and other vegetables. So look around on your fence, climbing along the ground, and you might be lucky enough to find some skunk vine.
Hey, and don't forget that anytime you're wildcrafting or anytime you're seeking plants for medicine or for food, to consult a professional, consult a clinical herbalist, make sure that 100% of the time you know exactly what you're getting, and heed the warnings that you read about and are told about.
I'm so glad you could join us on our walk around the Hillsborough River State Park. We always have so much fun sharing our adventures with people, and we're going to try to explore and produce these videos on a regular basis. So I hope you tune in, join our YouTube channel, check us out on Facebook, Traditions Herb School, and you can also find us on Instagram at Traditions Herb School. So give us a call, follow along with us, and join us in our adventures and learn lots about herbal medicine so you can be healthy, happy, and always utilizing nature for your medicine.